What's all the fuss? Day 13. Fact or fiction? Let's have some fun with this true or false quiz. Do you know the facts of Christ's birth? If you wish to play along, then pause the video after each question because I'll rattle through them quite quickly. The facts can be found in the Old Testament prophecies and be confirmed as fulfilled in the New Testament in Matthew chapter 2 and also Luke chapter 2. So let's see how much we really know. The wise men were three kings from the Orient. We've sung it often enough. Is this true? The number of wise men is not actually mentioned, and they weren't actually kings. The little drummer boy came to the manger after the shepherds. You remember the little drummer boy from the famous song? Was he there after the shepherds? There's no mention of a drummer boy in the Bible at all. The star did not appear above the manger. Is that true or false? Consider every Christmas card you've ever seen above the barn. It appeared above the house where Joseph's family was living, and we read about that in Matthew chapter 2 verses 9 to 11. Jesus' ancestors included a prostitute, an adulterer, a woman who committed incest, and a non-Israelite. What do you think about that genealogy? Rahab was in fact a prostitute and was in the line of Jesus. David and Uriah's wife were adulterers. Tamar and Judah actually committed incest. Tamar was Judah's daughter-in-law, and Ruth was from Moab. They weren't Israelites. And we read about these in the line of Jesus' descendants here in Matthew 1 verses 3, 5 and 6. The angel Gabriel appeared to Mary first, and then Gabriel appeared to Joseph. What do you think? It's a trick question. Mary was first, but we don't know the name of the angel who appeared to Joseph in Matthew chapter 1 and verse 20. Mary rode a donkey from Nazareth to Bethlehem. True or false? A donkey doesn't appear anywhere in the biblical accounts. Mary probably had to walk. Joseph and Mary went to Bethlehem because of a decree by Caesar Augustus. True or false? Here's someone who was mentioned in history along with the history of the Bible. Yes, we're told about this in Luke chapter 2 verses 1 to 5. He wanted to effectively tax everyone and so needed all that information. Some things don't change, do they? The wise men followed the star as it moved from their eastern land, finally to Jerusalem. True or false? Apparently not. The wise men saw the star in the east, as Matthew chapter 2 and verse 2 tells us, but it didn't take them to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, they asked for directions, and once leaving Jerusalem, the star appeared again and led them to the house which was in Bethlehem. And we read about that in Matthew chapter 2 verses 9 to 11. The wise men did not arrive on the night of Jesus' birth. Is this true or false? The wise men arrived sometime after Jesus is born in Matthew chapter 2 and verse 1. Jesus is called a child rather than a baby in verse 11 of that same chapter. It may have been as old as 2. Compare notes from Matthew chapter 2 verse 7 and verse 16. God sent a choir of chubby angels to announce Jesus' birth to the shepherds. There are rather nice cherubim that we see very often in the cards, aren't they? Actually, God sent an army of warrior angels. See Luke chapter 2 and verse 13. The term company and host are spoken of in military terms. Shepherding was considered a very noble occupation. True or false? In the 1st century BC, shepherding was close to what we would consider a menial task. Shepherds were unable to remain ritually pure, So according to Pharisaic laws, they were considered unclean. Yet God chose them to announce the birth of his son. Both Joseph and Mary were told that the baby was to be named Jesus. True or false? Yes, true. Matthew 1 and verse 21 and Luke 1 and verse 31. Babies then were always named by their father, and God, Jesus' father, gives Jesus his name. When Herod heard about Jesus, he was the only one concerned about this new king. True or false? Everybody was waiting for a new king. Was he the only one who was troubled by it? All Jerusalem was disturbed by this news of a new king, we're told in Matthew chapter 2 and verse 3. The wise men found Jesus lying in a manger in the town of Bethlehem. True or false? If you've got a good memory, we've already answered this. Jesus was in the house by the time they came along in Matthew 2 and verse 11. After the angel's announcement to the shepherds, they went straight to Bethlehem to see Jesus. True or false? Correct. They were excited. They didn't hesitate. They didn't pass go. They didn't stop to collect the £200. They went straight to see Jesus in Luke 2 verses 15 and 16. Joseph married Mary immediately after the angel appeared to him. Yes, his obedience was quick. He was cheerful about it. And he obeyed completely in Matthew 1 and verse 24. Some of the shepherds doubted and refused to believe the message that they heard from the angels. True or false? No, we already saw. They went to see the baby right away. They spread the word and they praised God for what they'd been permitted to see. What about you? What's all the fuss about for you this holiday season? My sincere prayer is that it will lead to you asking, why has God gone through all of this for me? Why has he made such a fuss over me? If you'd like more information, please do go to www.northamptoncoc.net, or you can find us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn, the Northampton Church of Christ.